last week. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. Sorry for the last minute change of plans. It was Mother's Day, and candidly, I wanted to spend a little time with family. So I kind of made that decision, and I went to go visit my mom for pre-Mother's Day. And the travel getting back took a little longer than expected, which meant I just didn't have as much time to put this particular episode, if that's what we want to call it, of Coffee Time together. Because today I am so excited about our topic. I've wanted to do this, and I know we've talked about it in big sprinkles here and there almost every time we're together on Monday mornings. But I really wanted to try to make one video that is completely cohesive all about new construction. So if you missed it in the little chat over here, the question for this morning is type yes if you have ever purchased a new construction home. If you've ever gone through the process, whether from building from dirt, as builders call it, or even if it was just a new construction inventory, maybe a quick move-in home. Type the word yes, because I'm very curious, because you're going to be a great help as we go through today's today's coffee time. Because at the end, I want to make sure that everyone is maybe writing down some questions that maybe are not brought up throughout the course of all the topics that we're going to discuss today. So definitely want it to be interactive. So chat in there. And as a reminder, I haven't done this a lot, but make sure that if you do have a question, that you put a capital Q with a colon and then ask your question, and that'll be an easier way for me to go back and find those as we get to the end of it. But I'm curious, look how many of you, by the way, some of you have popped in, and wow, look at all these yeses. Holy moly, good morning, Gina. I don't think I said good morning texting to you yet. Look at all these yeses. I love this. So new construction, seriously, I'm just really, really excited about today's topic. For those of you that are joining me maybe for the first time, or maybe you just saw one of our kind of promos out there and you've never seen this, this is Coffee Time. This is our Monday morning, 9 to 10, maybe a little bit later today because there's a lot to talk about, live stream that I do for my job. I'm a realtor, licensed realtor in both the states of Florida as well as Virginia. So I have Heart and Home Orlando and Heart and Home Richmond. And in the course of my career, there's been well over 100, if not hundreds, of clients who have purchased new construction from the beginning to the end of the process. I went back and did the math, and myself personally, my family and I, meaning my husband and I, when we were first married, and the houses that we've helped build for our children, we've purchased and built 11 different new construction homes. Again, personally, only one of those was an investment property, and that was a quick move-in. If Abe is here today, he can join in because he was the one that I was working with during that particular one. But 11 homes, and by the way, friends, that's 9 different builders, right? And that's spanning 2 states, by the way. So that's 9 builders, 11 properties, divided between Virginia and Florida. So I think it's going to be interesting. Later on, I'm going to give you some real numbers. For those of you that have watched this for a long time, you know, Eric and I put together the cost to build our pool that we had in our previous home in Winter Garden. And we were very transparent about what those numbers looked like. And I think it was a really great video because there's a lot of things. It's not so much about the pricing, although that is helpful, but we all know pricing can change, just like it will change in homes, right? Different times, but the transparency of it. And so I've actually 2 different homes I purchased. I'm going to give you the exact numbers. And so we're going to do that. So if you're interested in all of that, make sure that you watch this as long as you can. I know so many of you are outside of this country. And so maybe it's not 9 o'clock in the morning where you are. Maybe it's either earlier, or maybe it's a little bit later and you're kind of bridging on lunchtime. But I do hope that you guys will stick around, watch this whole episode, go back, share it with friends and family, because I definitely think it's going to provide you some information. Keeping in mind, by the way, that this is my experience in these areas. And depending on where you live, maybe some things are going to be slightly different. But it's about the same process. The only a few minor things are going to change. So I think no matter where you are, it's going to be a beneficial time well spent this morning with your coffee. So if you haven't grabbed it yet, go grab your coffee or your tea or your water if you're like me. Didn't mean to make a rhyme there, but I did. I grabbed my my water this morning. I've already had my coffee. My son is home from college. That's crazy. Already off to his job this morning, so I was up a little extra early doing the mom thing. So anyway, so good morning to everybody. So again, the whole topic is really personal to me. I am a big fan of new construction. Do I believe it is the only option? Heck no. Have there been some real clunkers? Heck yeah. Do I love builders? I like them. Okay. I just think it's important for everybody to understand what it's like going in. And I literally have a client right now who is struggling, and we'll talk about that a little bit because everything is a learning experience. So we're going to get ourselves going. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, ultimately, if you're looking to buy new construction, if you've got family or friends looking to buy new construction, maybe it's even an investment property. Hopefully we go over everything that you might want or need to know. I tried to make it really cohesive, but you know me, guys, I get a little off track sometimes. I like to talk. So with that, let me make sure I didn't miss anybody else, excuse me, that may have popped in here. Dave Howell popped in. Good morning. King of Miami. Good morning. Melody, Mark. Good. And Jim, as always, Jim is our example coffee timer. He's actually at the Magic Kingdom right now because, that's what he does. They moved to Florida to enjoy the lifestyle of living in Disney's backyard, and there they are. So they're out at the Magic Kingdom, still popped in to say good morning to us. But Jim, you and your family go have some fun at the Magic Kingdom, and we love you, and you are an inspiration. You and Cheryl have a great time. All right, let's get ourselves going with our brewing topic, shall we? Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. So those of you that watch all the time, we're probably not going to do some of the segments that we typically do because I really do want to do a full deep dive into new construction and try not to miss everything. So our normal format, we might forego that a little bit, and it'll be a lot of talking. I want you to take notes. If you are in the process, thinking about the process, if you're just interested in the process and you want to jot some things down, go for it. If you are, again, if you come back to this link and share it with some friends, or if you don't have time to watch all of it today, then just come on back to it. But here's just a few of the topics we're going to talk about. First of all, why choose new? What to do before you explore. And by explore, we mean going out to those communities and going to those model homes and getting roped in, and some of the pitfalls that can happen. Truth about those model homes, the builders, and the site reps that are there to greet you when you walk into the sales center. We're going to talk about the builders are businesses. Okay, they're businesses. We're going to talk about building your home, the process, basically a timeline of it. We're going to talk about the real cost, the hidden costs that you don't really think about. Even if you think you know, I promise you, you do not know until you get there and you're in the thick of it and you're like, I did not know. See, we're going to tell you. The building process and the timeline, whether or not you should do an inspection during your build process. I have had clients that do both. We're going to talk about that in depth, the pros, the cons, and a really great golden piece of advice for everybody out there. We're going to talk about closing and or settlement, depending on what you call it, where you live, and then warranty. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about all of those. All right, I see a big congratulations over here. So I got to go back over. Hold on. I got to come over here to Garrite. Let me go back here. So Garrite, in the world of Eric, breaking news. Hold on, let me get for you. Hold on. Oh, I can't get it. I can't reach it. Sorry, I would have my microphone. Breaking news. It's the first time in 76 years that a baby girl was born into our family. Baby girl named Serene Alicia. My youngest son, Reese, and Rosewin are over the moon. Oh my goodness, Geraint, what an absolute blessing. So excited for you, my friend. Well, you know what? That explains where you've been. Yeah, because I was wondering the other day when we were doing our coffee time. Oh, I'm so happy. Look at all of your friends and family here in coffee time. Big congratulations. Love, 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 love that. That's amazing. Really? 76 years. Wow. Well, blessings to you and your family. Thank you for sharing that news with us. That's exciting. All right. So let's get ourselves going into our coffee time topic, which is new construction. So the first thing is, why choose new? Because obviously there's a lot of great options of resale homes, and you don't have to get new construction. And in some areas, new construction may not even be an option. Some areas are seeing tremendous growth. And that's kind of how Horizon West even started in Winter Garden, what I call Disney's backyard. It was all land that was zoned agricultural. It was citrus groves. And then we won't go through that whole story, but the land ultimately was rezoned, became residential. And then that's how all of the new construction there began to thrive and to boom. Who doesn't want to live in Disney's backyard, right? Not short-term rental, beautiful residential area. And that's a great thing. And there's still a lot of new construction going on there. Even in Central Virginia, you are going to see a ton of new construction happening all across the country, depending on where you are. Now, you might not be in the thick of it, but I can guarantee you somewhere out and about and around you, there are some new construction options. So part of the reason people like new is because it's new. It's clean. It's a blank canvas. It allows you the opportunity to make that home the way you want it. And when you build, sometimes you get to make that flex space a fifth bedroom, and maybe that works for you and your family. The other reason is that, the newer the home, the newer the energy efficiency features, right? Building codes have probably changed. There's a lot of homes that have polybutylene piping, which is not code now for a lot of places. We all know about lead paint. So there's a lot of things to consider when you talk about an older home versus a newer home. So you're going to have better energy efficiency features. You're going to have newer building codes. You're just going to have floor plans and layouts that work for how we live today. Everything now says open floor plan. And that's because, somewhat gone are the days of everything being compartmentalized in your home, and now having a more open feel so people can feel connected. I remember, growing up, it's like the kitchen was always disconnected and kind of like closed off, even though it was the heart of the home. If there was a celebration going on, mom, grandmom, somebody's cooking in the kitchen, but the rest of the family is out enjoying stuff elsewhere. And so now I really do think about it. One of my favorite things is being able to still work on Thanksgiving while having that Macy's Day Parade on the TV, and I can see it, and I can see my family seeing it, and we are all together. So those types of changes in floor plans, the way we live and the way we work today. Speaking of work, how many of us end up working from home and need a dedicated space in our house for work? We need to make a room, that's supposed to be a bedroom, make it an office. In my previous house, we had a big dining room. I made that my office because it was just better for what I needed to do. I've got friends who use their big, large walk-in closets and make those their offices. So there's homework zones. There's a lot of people that homeschool their children. And so now there are homes that actually have all of these flex spaces. So the point is, new construction is definitely going to give you, the ability maybe to have your home function for you and to serve you and your family in a way that maybe an older home can't. Again, nothing wrong with resale homes. Sold many, many, many of those too. But today's topic is new construction and the whys. There's other things too, is that, dual primaries, multi-gen homes, those are some other things that new construction can provide you that older homes might not. It was never considered to have two primary bedrooms. Why would you need two primary bedrooms? Now there's a lot of homes that do, because maybe you've got your parents or your in-laws that live with you. Multi-gen, again, homes that are specifically designed with attached or even detached apartments for your parents, or again, for in-laws, or maybe even for your own adult child that's going to live with you. There's so many different scenarios, and that's part of the reason that new construction is so popular. The other thing is that, typically there's a peace of mind with a builder's warranty. We're going to talk about warranty, but it does come with one. And whether or not you are able to utilize it and maximize it is going to be up to you, and in some ways up to the builder. But it is an important piece of it because it does give you a little bit of peace of mind, right? FYI, you can always buy your home warranty. Even if you buy a resale home, you can do that, right? You can buy a home warranty and you can help give yourself some extra protection. But that's a little side note. The other thing is that with new construction, builders most often are going to have incentives towards closing costs, incentives towards buying down the rate if the interest rates are a little bit high, incentives for flex cash, whether you want to take that and apply that toward your lot premium, which we'll talk about in a minute. Sometimes there are design center credits where you can go to the design center with $15,000. The $15,000, the first 15 that you spend is on the builder. These types of incentives can really make a difference to your overall pocketbook, right? And again, it's nice, it's new. It's very hard for someone purchasing a resale home to have a seller give them $20,000 towards closing costs. That's difficult. Plus giving them X amount off of a lot premium, plus this, that, and the other. So there's some financial benefits to it too, for sure. And again, I'm loving this. Oh, I see Melody says she has never bought her own home. I think, Melody, you're probably the only one. Well, I don't know if you're the only one, but I'm excited to see. Don't forget, start with your questions. All right, let's go to our first brewing. So the first one is before you explore. And guys, I know some of you listen, you pay attention, and you do your due diligence. Some of you don't. And you really, really, really need to protect yourself. And I cannot say this more. Before you explore, engage your realtor. Find your buyer agent. There is a misconception that you do not need or that you cannot have representation if you're buying new construction. And that's just not the truth. In fact, you just need to remember that the buyer agent is the only one that's actually representing you and that's there to help you and to guide you through the process and to make sure that they are talking about your best interests. And it's important too, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people do not understand new construction. There are a lot of agents who have never sold new construction, or they have the idea that they can go in barrels blazing and that they can negotiate with the builder. And they give their clients the incorrect expectation that you get to negotiate with the builder on the base price of the home. And that's simply not the way it works. So the best thing you can do is have an agent that's well-versed in new construction. They understand how the process works, and they understand how to set that expectation for you. And sometimes, as I have always said, my job is not to tell you what you want to hear. It's to tell you what you need to know. And that's really important, specifically when we're talking about these builders, because the process is quite a bit different. So that's the first thing. Find your agent. Obviously, if you're in Virginia or if you're in Florida, hello, I'm volunteering. Give me a call for sure. But the other thing that you want to do is start your pre-approval. Now, yes, I know. If you are going, and we'll talk about builder preferred lenders, but one of the things that you're going to want to do is to make sure that you know what your budget is. This is really important because just like if you were looking for resale, if we're looking in the wrong spot and we're not allowing enough budget to get you where you're going to be, and all of it, like for instance, you're pre-approved for $500,000. You find a home where the base price is $495,000, and you're like, yes, no, it's not going to be $495,000, which you're going to see here later. Now you can try it, but I've never had a client go base price. Even the one client that really did try to go base price still had to extend some tile because she didn't want any carpet. So she did all builder upgrades, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But that's just really important to know, right? You want to make sure that they're pre-approved. Now, I want to tell you a quick story. Back to the choosing your realtor thing. I think this is important, and this is why. True story. Honest to God, this is a true story. Again, I do a lot with new construction. I did a lot with new construction in the very beginning. The very first home that I sold was a new construction home, build from dirt. And I remember in the early days, I had to go to a different broker, not a part of that brokerage any longer, but at the broker's office, because there was a mandatory compliance meeting. You always have to go to find out what are the new changes in contracts. Is there any new legal things that you need to be aware of or understand? So I go into my broker's office, and we're in, the big room, right? There's all the tables and chairs. We're all sitting there, and they have the people presenting, and they're saying, in this contract, this is new. In this contract, this is new. And then they have a gentleman come up, a realtor at our brokerage. He gets up because he's going to speak to new construction. Because in new construction, it is a purchase agreement written by the builder as opposed to an offer submitted by your buyer agent. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. True story. This gentleman gets up there with his cup of coffee in his hand, very casually, nonchalantly looks up. He goes, new construction. Everyone laughs. And I'm sitting there going, why is everybody laughing? And he's like, this is the best kind. Take your client to the sales office. You drop them off. You make the introduction. You're like, peace out. See you at closing. And everyone laughs. And they're all like applauding. Like, this is the easiest sale ever. And literally that day, I knew that brokerage wasn't for me, because that is not what I saw at all. I'm like, no, it's a longer process. There's a lot more moving pieces. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of expectations. There's going to be some hiccups. And the fact that your buyer agent just did that in front of an entire group and just says, all you have to do is introduce them to the builder and then peace out, see you later, see you at closing where I get my check. No, that sat very, very wrong with me. And hence one of the reasons I am so passionate about new construction and what all is involved, and making sure that you, as the person out there potentially spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home, has the correct expectation and you still feel like you have somebody there that's going to help you through the process. So that was my little story. All right, let's go back to the brewing one. So after you've got your realtor, after you have your pre-approval, now we're going to talk about builder websites. Okay, this is really important. It's okay if you go to builder websites. If you're out and you're like, hey, this home popped up. It's this new community called Serenity, blah, blah, blah. You take a look. Yes, of course. Explore the website. Of course. You can look at the floor plans, play with the floor plans. Some of the builder websites have the interactive floor plans where they show you some of the major, not all, but the major structural options that allow you to change bedroom to, or flex space to a bedroom, or the open 2-story great room could be a second floor, a playroom, bonus room type thing. All of these different structural options, look at that. But here's what you don't do. 2 things you don't do. Well, there's probably a lot of things you don't do. Number 1, don't chat with the chat bot, or even if it's a real person, don't chat in the chat bar. Talk to your realtor. Say, hey, Amy, I found this community called Serenity. Do you know anybody that works there? There's this Roseland floor plan that I really like. I'd love to get some more information on that. Okay, that's my job. Let me help you get to the right person. Because when you chat with the chat bot or call that number on the website, you are then attached or you are connected to their online salesperson. By the way, this is fine. There's nothing wrong. They're lovely people. They're real people. Well, maybe the chat bot's not a real person, but sometimes they are. It's just important that you know to explore, but do not make any forward movements without talking to your agent, because this is why. Builders will make it. And I tell you, I love the builders. I work a lot with them, but they don't necessarily always want to attach a realtor to you. They would rather you not have a buyer agent. So they would rather you make the first movement with them, sign up online, go to that VIP list for the early notification of this new upcoming community, chat with that chat person, provide them your name and your contact information so that you'll be notified as soon as the prices or the floor plans are released. All of a sudden, they've got your information and you haven't told them that you're working with a realtor. And some of these builders, my friends, will not let you have one. after you've done that. So that is why it is absolutely critically important to you for your protection to make sure that before you do any of that, like I've had clients call and ask me, and I'm like, yeah, you can sign up, but before you do, let me reach out to them so that they know that you're signing up and that you're attached to me. Because sometimes they will say, are you working with a realtor? Some builders are very transparent and they do want you. D.R. Horton is one of the best builders out there for realtor participation. They have constantly, and this is not saying they're like my favorite builder in the whole world. I'm just saying that as far as builders go, even during the time during COVID when it was crazy, the feeding frenzy, I call it, many builders were dropping buyer agents. They're like, we're selling ourselves. We don't need you. And they just dropped us like hot potatoes. D.R. Horton never did. They still value the fact that their homeowner has representation. Okay, so I think that's important to note. At any rate, it's important to make sure. Now, if you do go into a model home, the first thing that you need to do is, first of all, if you go in, make sure you've communicated with your agent first, okay? If you're like, I don't have an agent yet, I don't know what to do, this is what you do. You walk in and you say, I'm working with a realtor. Is it okay if I tour the models today, even if they're not here? And I will tell you this, in my experience, the builder site representatives, they love realtors. They want you to have buyer representation. It's not them. It's the people upstairs. They're the ones making the decisions that if they don't come in with an agent, they've lost the right to have one. It should not be that way. And I will tell you, you should ask them. Put them to the test. Hey, I'm working with an agent. I'm not with them today because we're out here. We just wanted to pop by. Just saw this place pop up. Is it okay if we walk through the models? We still want to have representation. If that person says no, they have to be with you, turn around and leave and say, okay. And that's going to tell you a lot about that builder. Now, there are a lot of times in my experience, again, with my clients and with my connections with these builders, again, the site agents are cool most times. It's the higher ups that they have to answer to. And in many cases, I can't be everywhere. No realtor can be everywhere. And you sometimes are on a whim, like, I just drove by this community. I'd love to be able to go in. I've got like 45 minutes before my next appointment, before I have to pick the kids up. I'd love to go see that model they just opened. Okay, of course. Of course you want to go see it. And you should be allowed to go see it. And you should not then lose your right for representation just because you decided to walk into a model home. So that's the first thing is you say, hey, I'm working with a realtor, but they're not with me right now. Is it okay if I walk through the models? If they say no, turn around and leave. If you fill out, and this, guys, if you learn nothing from today, this is from true life experience. I'm telling you, this happened to one of my clients. If they ask you to fill out, they have these little registration cards about yay big, like the big size of like a big index card, the big kind. And it'll say, what's your name, what's your email address, what's your phone number, all that jazz. What's your price point? What's your timeline? How did you hear about us? Blah, 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 blah. All that information. That is a registration card, my friends. So when you walk in, and by the way, if you haven't okayed this with your agent first and they haven't said, hey, go, and when you go to the community, ask for Larissa, ask for Abe, ask for Rodney, ask for Lewis, ask for whomever. If they haven't coordinated with that site agent so that they know that they're expecting you and you're already now protected with your agent because your agent, your realtor has that connection with the builder. But if you just walk in cold, you haven't told anybody anything, you haven't communicated with anybody, tell them you're working with an agent. If you have to fill out a registration card, you need to make sure that you put your realtor's name on it. Sometimes, my friends, they don't even give you a spot to do that. I'm not even kidding. They'll have a card and they'll say, how did you hear about us? You can say my realtor if you want, but that doesn't mean you're tied into one. Sometimes they'll say, are you working with a buyer agent? And if they say, then you need to say yes. You need to put that person's name and that phone number or whatever information you've got. And then here's the trick. Guys, are you listening? Take a picture of the index card, of the registration card that you filled out. Take a picture of it where you put your name, the date, and your realtor's information, because that card ends up getting entered into a computer. And eventually what happens to the card? The card goes away. So if you have said that you're working with a realtor and the builder or the site agent enters that information in the computer, whether by accident or whether with intention, they neglect to put your realtor that you've associated yourself with on the registration card, you're screwed. It's difficult. So take a picture of the card. Literally, that has happened to a client of mine. And without the card, we don't have any proof, right? But they did say it. They said it over and over again. The site agent even knew my name and said my name. But whether it was an accident or intentional, that happened. So make sure you do that. Okay. You tell I'm passionate about this. Anyway, so not to scare you, I'm trying to protect you. All right. The other thing is making sure that you, excuse me, make sure you don't chat, don't sign up for any of those lists until you check with your agent. Feel free to drive the area. Make sure that you're driving. There's a lot of things you can do on your own. Drive the area. Drive it to and from work or school or whatever it is that is important to you in the way you live your life. Make sure you do that. Now, here's the thing. We're talking about the model homes. Model homes. Are you ready? Understand that the model home is a sales center. It's a sales center. It's important to know that. That site agent does not work for you. They work for the builder. They are nice and most often lovely people. And I will tell you, I have some just fantastic relationships with the builder site agents because I know who they are as a person and how they work professionally, and they will work with me to help take care of you, even though their loyalty is to the builder. But I know that they will do everything they can to help me fight for you. And that is key to a smoother process. So that's one of the reasons why I always say, make sure you check with your agent first so that they can connect you with someone there on site so that you know who to ask for and you can already have that peace of mind and that comfort that you're being protected. All right. So remember, builder site rep does not work for you. They're in a sales position. So they're just hoping that you're going to buy that house. Your buyer agent wants to help you buy the house that you want to buy. And that really is important and that's key, right? Remember that the builder site rep, as lovely as they are, it is a sales position. Now, of course, they don't want you to buy a home that isn't going to work for you, but they do want to make a sale. So they're going to definitely try to showcase everything for you. And hopefully you're going to, find one that you want. All right, now here, let's talk about the model. You walk into the model home. Your senses are engaged. Your emotions are engaged. It's gorgeous. It's fully designed. It just smells lovely. It's clean. There's no clutter. I'm going to sneeze in a minute. Okay, maybe I'm not. Yes, I am. Excuse me. It's clean. It's fully upgraded. It's got high level, this, that, and the other. It's got beautiful interior decor design. The furniture is perfectly placed. Everything looks stunning. Understand, that is not the house. That's the luxury version of it. Okay. That's not how the home comes. And I think a lot of people know that and they understand that. Of course, it's kind of common sense. You need to walk through the model solely to see if the layout and the floor plan works for you. Does it give you the right number of bedrooms? Does it give you the right number of bathrooms? Does it flow properly? Are the upstairs, downstairs bedrooms workable for the way you live? Does it give you the office space that you want? Forget about the really cool home gym that they have staged upstairs. Forget about the really cool office space with the tray ceiling and built-ins. That's not how your home is going to come. Make sure that the flow and the floor plans work for you first. Try to give a blind eye to the beauty. I know it's hard. Gosh, it's hard because they're so gorgeous. Look at it for the flow. If all of that checks off your boxes, then heck yeah, snap some pictures. Figure out, hey, do I want to mimic this? Our first house that we built in Florida, I went back to the model, which was the same floor plan we built, almost every day. I'm like, ooh, they had 3 pictures there. I love that. And then I'd go home and I'd find 3 pictures and I'd put them up. So it's okay to do that, but you want to make sure that the floor plan works for you. All right. So now remember, that home is not the reality. That's the luxury version, and it's not going to cost the same thing. So it's really important to note that. All right. So let's go to our second piece of it and go back to our thing here. So we've done the truth about the model home, the builder, and the site agent. But let's now talk about the fact that builders are businesses. They are. We touched on it earlier. They're businesses, guys. Their numbers, their sales matter. They have, the end of the first quarter, into the second quarter, into the third quarter, into the fourth quarter. Those numbers, those sales numbers matter to them. Their incentives are going to change because of them. If these builders are publicly traded, they've got to speak to the investors. So they care about their bottom line, not you. Now, that doesn't mean they're all terrible, horrible people, but ultimately it's a business, and that's what they care about. They care about their bottom line. And they do offer these big incentives because they do have deeper pockets than the average seller does. They're these big builders, these big corporations. And that's a great thing because that can be really helpful and advantageous to the buyer out there to have the assistance with closing costs, to have a credit at the design center so you can go ahead and upgrade your flooring or your counters or your cabinets and feel like that didn't cost me anything, right? Because the builder gave you a credit toward that. So it's important to know, though, at the end of the day, the builder is a business. That's all they care about. We, as the buyer, we see a home, a nest, shelter for our family. We see a place to love and to laugh and to share and to make memories and celebrations and even sadness and mourning and disappointment, but togetherness and love throughout those walls. That's what we see as the average person, as the person spending these hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is what we see, and that is what we care about. Is this house going to help take care of my family? Are we going to be safe and protected here? The builder sees a structure and a dollar sign. And again, big fan of new construction, but you have to understand that going in and not think that they are there to cater to you and to help you. They're there to make money at the end of the day. So it's important to note that. All right, so let's keep ourselves going. Are you ready? First of all, I'm going to see if anything is happening over here because the next thing we're going to talk about is contracting. Oh my goodness, we're going to go past 10 today, guys. I know we are. Vicky popped in. Good morning, Vicky. Melody says, I've learned so much from a Monday morning coffee time. Good. Vicky, if I do fill out any forms, I'll attach your name. I love you guys. You're just the best. Kim, I'm still shocked. Yes, you are. How much power developers and builders have in Florida. It really is crazy. Dave, make sure the price you're quoted up front is the same at closing. Some builders can pass along price increases in materials during the build process. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Absolutely. Pam, the biggest thing I was shocked to find is that the butler's pantry comes with nothing. No cabinets, no countertop, nothing. Yeah, I know. It's just like a little recessed area over there, right? And you're like, it doesn't come with cabinets? Nope. It's just a little boop, boop. It's just a little recessed area. These are great things. As Allie said, don't forget to give this stream a like and make sure you're subscribed with the notifications on so you never miss a video stream or a home tour. That goes for both our Heart and Home Orlando and our Heart and Home Richmond friends and family and coffee timers. So thank you for that. All right, let's get on to ready to contract. So let's first of all, get a sip. Everyone take your sip. Cheers, by the way. Okay, so now we're ready to contract. You have your realtor. Hair's flipping. Okay. You have your agent. You have now done a pre-approval. By the way, remember that pre-approval should just be done with a regular lender, an outside lender. Now, I know if you go with new construction, chances are you're going to use that builder's preferred lender. But remember what we said in the beginning. We want to know what you're approved for before we go to the builder. Because I'm going to tell you, sometimes those builders are like, again, they're happy to sell you the home because they're also going to sell your mortgage. Outside lender may not sell it, and they want to make sure you can actually pay for it. So not saying there's any shadiness going around. I'm just, because everyone's bound by the same codes and laws and rules and all of that. But just make sure you know safely what you can be approved for before we start the process with the builder. Okay, but now you got your agent. We're happy. We've gone in. We've toured some communities. You found some great builders. You love their designs. They've got some smart, well laid out, thoughtful floor plans, some great structural options that you can choose from. And now you're ready to put pen to paper and sign, or sign electronically, which is what we do nowadays. Okay. These are the things that you need to know at the time of contract. To contract on the home. You don't have all the pieces to this puzzle, by the way, guys. You only have a few of them. You need to know, obviously, what floor plan you want. Let's say you want the Magnolia floor plan. Okay, that's the name of the floor plan that you want. You need to know the name of that. You need to know what lot, what home site, and what is that lot premium. Yes, lot premium, meaning that they're charging you extra for the home site as well. It could be 2,000, it could be 20,000, it could be 200,000. Yep, all of those. It just depends on where you are. So that is a question you need to ask up front, because sometimes the lot premium is what blows your budget. So make sure you know the floor plan, the home site. So let's just say we're going to build a Magnolia on lot 10, and we want exterior elevation. Exterior elevation means the front facade of the home. It may change your roof line, peaks, and gables. But ultimately, when you look at the same floor plan, inside the front door looks the same, but it's the front picture, the front exterior elevation. You need to know what that is. By the way, only one of those is included with the base price. All of the other ones cost more in most cases. So the Magnolia on lot 10 with exterior elevation number 1. And then these are all of the structural options that we want. And let's just say you can make the flex space bedroom 5. We want to do the extended lanai. We want to do the 3-foot extension at the bay window. Those types of things that the builder allows you to do. Now remember, this is not a custom or a semi-custom builder. These are production builders. That's what the majority of them are out there. So in most cases, the structural options that you can choose from are the ones that the builder allows you to choose from. You don't get to custom do one yourself. And I will say, some builders are really, really generous with the number of structural options that they give you per floor plan. Some of them not so much. So it's important for you to know that. And that's part of the process when we're talking with the builder. Once we've narrowed it in, you're like, really like this floor plan, and you look at it and it can show you these are your options. Or if you do the online interactive floor plan, you know, there's different ways that you can configure things. There's some floor plans in Florida specifically where it could be the third, excuse me, 3-car garage and the third bay is tandem. And there are floor plans where that third tandem bay goes away, and that could become another ensuite. So for clients who need a bedroom on the first floor, for parents that have their own private bathroom, those are structural options. So those are things, you know, the lot, the homes, or the home site, whatever that lot premium is, the floor plan, the exterior elevation, and those structural options. That is how you are going to contract. You've not gone to the design center yet. You don't know what that's going to be yet. You haven't gone there. You haven't picked your flooring or your cabinets or your counters or your fixtures or your faucets. Now, some builders are actually well equipped when they're going over numbers with you to put in some like placeholders. They'll like, let's just say you're going to do like a level 3 floor. That's what's in the model. Let's just say that's what you're going to do. Okay, let's say you're going to, you want that upgraded cabinet with the extra bank of cabinets like you saw in the model. Okay, well, this is how much that would cost. So they can give you some idea, but it is not exact because you haven't gone to the design center yet. So that's important to know. So now you've contracted. So you've got your lot premium, you've got your floor plan, you got your exterior elevation, you got your structural options, you're ready to contract. Now, please know, this is locked in. This is what's going immediately once you sign and the builder signs off, it immediately goes to the county for permitting. They're going to build the house with those structural options, which now, by the way, affects electrical blueprints, plumbing blueprints, like all of it, because of the way you're building it. If you're adding pre-plumb, or if you're adding a laundry sink or a utility sink, if you're adding this, that, or the other, things are represented within the blueprints of that has to be approved with the county. So you can't go back and say, oh gosh, you know, I went to the design center and it's so expensive. I'm going to change my mind and I'm not going to do the extended lanai now so that I can have that extra 10 grand to put toward design. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't go back and change. Now, is there a scenario where you could? Maybe, if it's like the next day and they are going to charge you a change order fee. But if it's already gone through the permitting process, the builder has already forked out money for these permits and to get this process started. So no, they're not going to go back and change that. So make sure you think thoughtfully and wisely. Discuss with your family, your loved ones, your spouse, your partner, whomever it is, and make sure that you are all on board that these are the structural options that you want, because these things, by the way, you can't go back and change, right? You can change a countertop if you have to go a little bit more basic and, change that later on down the road. But you can't do the extended lanai later on. You can't do the 3-foot extension later on. I mean, you probably could, but you probably won't. So that's important to know. All right, so you have that. Now that is where your deposit is going to be based off of those items, not the design. We haven't gone to design yet. This is just those items. Typically expect about 5% of that amount due at contract. Expect 5% of that amount due at contract. Now, could it be more? Yes. Could it be less? Yes. Could it just be a flat fee from builders? Yes. I've seen all of that. But if you're just like, I don't even know, estimate 5%, because that's about what the majority of the builders in my experience are requesting at the time of contract. Now, just as you know, you've now told and remember how we said earlier that your agent does not write the contract. We do not submit an offer. It's new construction. So the builder writes the purchase agreement, right? So that's different. They're writing the contract. We all get to look at it and review it, and make sure that all incentives are there. All the prices look like they're supposed to be there. But now you have to do two things. You need to sign the contract that they usually, again, they send to you electronically. It's all done via electronic signature. Very rarely anymore are you sitting at the sales office going through that contract with that sales rep. And if you've ever signed a DocuSign or a dot loop or anything where it's an electronic signature, you have the opportunity to review everything. But if you've ever signed, you know how you click, this is what my signature and my initials are going to be. You click on that, you click on the first spot, and what does it do? Zoom to the next place where you're supposed to sign. Click, zoom, sign, zoom, sign, zoom, sign. Every page. But have you read all of that? Probably not. The site agent used to, we would sit together, they would go through everything. Now, this is also important to note. In the state of Florida, the contracts are standard. So pretty much every builder is using the exact same contract. The things that are different are things that are builder specific or community specific. And they are always, I don't care where you are, you can be in Montana, those new construction purchase agreements are always going to be worded very heavily in favor of the builder. They just are. And you don't get to change that if you don't like it. We got to play by their rules, because that's just the way new construction works in this scenario that we're talking about. All right, so now you have your signed contract and you have your deposit paid. Now you are officially locked in. Now, this is a question I get a lot. And you guys doing okay? I know I'm talking a lot today. Another cheers to you. All right, so one of the things people ask is they expect their agent, they expect their realtor to be able to negotiate with the builder. And again, there are some realtors that think that that's what they can do because they don't have the experience. Now, if it is an aged inventory, if it's a quick move-in home and it's been completed, they've got the certificate of occupancy on that, and it's been sitting there for 3 or 4 months, that's a scenario where we can go in and we can potentially say, hey, look, you've got this aged inventory. My clients are ready to move forward on it. Can we either take a little off the price, maybe get some more in the incentive? But in a new construction community, the builders don't typically want to tank their own property values. So it's not like you're going to get a great deal. It's just we may have a little bit of negotiation there. But you definitely don't get to go in and say, I really like that Magnolia floor plan. And I know the base price is $490, but I'd like the base price to be $475. They're going to say no. You can say, I know that balcony off of the primary upstairs is like a whopping $36,000. I'd like you to be able to do that for maybe $10. No. You go to the design center and you're like, I really like that backsplash. I just really don't think I can pay $2,600 for the backsplash. It's not even that much space in the kitchen. Could you do the backsplash for like maybe $1,000? No. No, that's not the way it works. So you just need to understand that. And don't think that your realtor's not doing a good job for you because they didn't get you, $50,000 off. Really what we can do is make sure, and this is what I do with my clients, I make sure that we've emptied every pocket and every option and every opportunity that we can with the builder. If there's anything, can we get the refrigerator thrown in? Can we get the washer dryer thrown in? Some builders don't do appliances. So if you don't get it, don't get mad at your agent. We are not magical mystery people. But I can tell you that those good relationships, the professional relationship, and bringing them clients that have the correct expectation goes a long way. And so sometimes we get a little extra courtesy. Maybe we get the garage door opener thrown in. Maybe they give us the blinds for the whole house. Maybe they say, Amy, we love you, but no, like we can't. Like this is, our incentives are way too strong right now and we just don't have anything extra. And that's okay. And here's the deal. When my representative, when my colleague, when my trusted person that works on the other side of this table in this transaction tells me, Amy, we're done, like there's nothing else I can give, I believe them because they have given it to me time and time again when they could. And that really does matter. And I always can tell my clients, and remember, by the way, incentives change. Remember how we talked about the builders or businesses and every quarter, every season, every whatever is a time for them to change incentives. They can change incentives weekly. They could have a cranked out week and have sold 25 homes in a community over the week. And then the next week they're like, whoa, we've sold too many. So we're slashing those incentives because the builders can't handle the quantity of homes right now. We don't have any more home sites released. They're not going to be released from the county for another month and a half. So those incentives have kind of gone away. You have to understand that going in. You can see them last month, but last month, unless you contracted last month, the incentives are going to be what they are the day that you contract. So that's important to know. All right, let's keep going. So there is something that builders have called flex cash as we talk about these incentives. Flex cash means it's flexible. So let's say they give you a $30,000 flex cash option. You typically can go, okay, well, I want to take 10 off the lot premium and I want to do 15 towards closing costs and then the remainder at the design center. It just means that you've got the money to play with. You can buy down the rate if you want to. So that's just important to know. Flex cash is a good thing because it just means you get to decide where it is going to financially benefit you the most. All right, let's see where we are now. Let's see. We are, we're getting ready to have some fun. Are you ready to go to the design center? Oh my gosh, the design center. So the design center is fantastic. But before we go there, I just want to do a quick, just a little peek over here, seeing where we are. Pam says we were lucky that our salesperson allowed us to change our sink and get the farmer sink, but only because the cabinets hadn't been ordered. I was actually shocked it was allowed. You know what, Pam? It's because everything aligned for you. Because exactly what people don't understand, which it just astounds me because some of it I feel like is just such common sense. Once you've gone to the design center and you choose things, there's an entire production going on back behind the curtain that you're not aware of. The builders have inspections scheduled, materials scheduled to be delivered, things on order. When things take longer, they order them sooner, blah, 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 blah. Building materials, as somebody mentioned earlier, there was a time when the price of lumber, everything was going up and all of a sudden the costs were going up. Things were crazy. But yeah, there's a whole production going on behind you. So if you don't happen to catch them when you are technically allowed or within that limited window of opportunity to make those changes, usually they don't. But yes, usually with design, sometimes they give you like, I don't know, maybe 24 hours or something to kind of go back and let it marinate, let it digest a little bit, and then make sure that you're happy. But yeah, that's really good. Good for you. Good for you there. Gary, I don't remember being able to change any structural decisions, but I was able to make some minor changes after the design center, add more lights and floodlights outside as example. Yeah, that's great. Good news. But they were done within a week of the design center visit. Yeah. That's true. Again, limited window of opportunity, right? Because at that point, they're still kind of wrapping up your little present here. Joe, your advice gave me clarity. Thank you. You're welcome. I don't know what advice it was, but you're welcome. I'm welcome, my new friend, and thank you for joining us. How do you buy down the rate? Okay, so that is a great question. So this is going to be, now remember, everyone has their lane when it comes to this whole process and procedure. So your lender, the person that you speak to about your financing, is going to be the one that is going to advise you on the loan structure that is going to be most beneficial to you. So not only, you think about a conventional loan as a typical 80-20, but there are so many other versions of conventional loans. And there's FHA, there's VA, there's USDA, there's VA, there's all these different types of loan structures. So your interest rate can be bought down by paying for it. And that is where your conversation with your lender is going to be incredibly beneficial, because when the interest rates are higher, and they're higher now than what you might think, but they're not higher in the history of interest rates. Even since I've been buying houses, they're not that bad, but they're bad compared to what some of us were locked in at a few years ago, right? So, I guess more than a few years ago, but you can talk to your lender, and that builder incentive that we mentioned. These builders have big pockets. So you might see an advertisement by a builder saying that they're going to lock you in at 4.99% because the builder is going to pay that to buy down that rate. But basically that's what it is. You're going to give them extra money toward reducing that interest rate so that your monthly mortgage payment is more manageable. That's what it means. But you can absolutely you can absolutely talk to your lender about that, and they'll help you there. All right, so let's go to the design center. Who's ready to go shopping? I am. The design center is fantastic. Now I will tell you, this is probably the most fun of the entire experience. The design center appointment. Now, if your builder that you have chosen gives you a preview night, or potentially a design center open house, they're rare, but some builders do them. Sometimes they'll only do that after you've contracted, which candidly kind of irks me, because I'm like, it would be nice to know what your builder offers in design options before you sign a contract to build with them. But, that's the way it goes. So if there is a design center preview night or an open house, I highly encourage you to take the time to go to that. And make sure that when you go, you have an idea in mind as to what you want your home to look like. If you're like, I have no idea, Amy, I'm lost, think about your kitchen. That is usually the most important central piece of your home. Do you want light cabinets, white cabinets, dark cabinets, black cabinets, deep browns, rich, like a creamy cherry? Do you want like gray, light gray, dark gray? Do you want blue? Do you want green? All of these different variations of cabinet, not just color, but the front facade. Do you want like the craftsman? Do you want something traditional? Do you want it more ornate? Do you just want it plain? Those are all going to be stylistic differences that you can choose. And again, the number of decisions are mind-boggling. So it will really, really benefit you if you can have an idea of what you want your kitchen to look like before you go to the design center. If you're like, oh, I just want it to resemble the kitchen when I grew up at my mom's house, and that was maybe a specific kind of, cabinet color. If it was a wood tone, light tone, dark tone, medium tone. Or go to Pinterest. Create a Pinterest board. This is what I've done. My daughter taught me how to do this. I'm the binder person. In fact, here's my big binder. Look, I'm not even kidding. Like, this is my binder. I'm not going to show you the front of it because it has my, it's kind of a hot mess. I was looking for, you know what? I had to rip through this because of a slide we're going to see in a little bit. But this is my, I knocked all my papers on the floor. That's my binder. But my daughter taught me, hey, make a Pinterest board. And that will, you can start to get an idea of what you want it to look like. Do you want your cabinets to be what color? What kind of a backsplash? Do you want that pop of color? Do you have a specific countertop that you really, really are drawn to? If you have an idea of what it is that you're looking for, then the design consultant will be able to help you make that a reality. Now, design center associates, design consultants do not work on commission. Did you hear me? They do, at least none that I have ever come across. They do not work on commission. They're not trying to upsell you on every option. Their goal is to help you create your beautiful, perfect dream home, hopefully within your budget, without too many tears at the end. Sometimes there's tears. I'm going to be honest. I cried, and I know what to expect. I still cried. But it's important to know that. Because a lot of people are afraid to talk to them. Let them help you. Let them guide you. If you know what you want your kitchen to look like, everything else will kind of balance out. And you might go, I want traditional. I kind of want really modern. I want farmhouse. I want whatever, industrial. If you want that type of a vibe, do some photos, bring them with you to the Design Center preview night or open house. Sometimes they have online catalogs too. During COVID, a lot of builders had to come up with a different way for clients to choose their design options. So now there are some online catalogs or like virtual videos and things like that. They did a lot of virtual ones for a while. But take advantage of all of that. And then when you go to your actual Design Center appointment, come prepared as you can be, because I promise there's going to be a lot of decisions that you have to make that you were not aware that you needed to make. But the best thing you can do is make sure that the main pieces, I always say it's the skin, right? Your cabinets, your counters, and your flooring. Those three things are the most important elements of your home because they're the most expensive to change later. And, that's what everyone is really going to visually see. I noticed the other day, true story. I was in the laundry room, and I always keep that door propped open. I don't know, I was folding laundry or something, and I just looked over at the doorknob, and I was like, I've never paid attention to my doorknobs before. But when you go to the Design Center, you have to choose. Do I want the included doorknob, or do I want this fancy one, or I want that fancy one, or even that fancy one? Things like that you're not even thinking about. And you know what I realized? I did a very basic doorknob. I didn't upgrade them. And I would have never noticed. Like, who cares about your doorknob? But I care about my cabinets and my counter and my flooring. So that's where you want to focus that money and that time. So anyway, so that's what you want. That's what you want to do. Go in with an idea of what it is that you want to see. Now, you also have to understand this. There are standard or included features. So back to that Magnolia floor plan, base price, what did we say it was? $490. I don't remember my story. $490,000. So the base price, you're gonna get cabinets. It comes with cabinets. It comes with floors. It comes with countertops. It comes with faucets, and it comes with light fixtures, at least in the main living spaces. May not have them in the bedrooms, but it has them in the main spaces. Some builders have LEDs now, so depends. Ask that question. But when you go, those standard features are included. So at that $490,000 base price, you probably get like 3 or 4 color cabinets. Candidly, they're not very pretty. But sometimes if you're like, hey, I'm just grateful to have a safe shelter and a roof over my kids' heads. I don't care. I don't have the budget, but I want the house. Fine. Then you find one of the included builder standard features that you have. Whatever cabinet it is. It may not come with hardware, doorknobs, drawer pulls. Who cares? You can still open it. That's fine. But that's what you're going to have to look at is, what are the standard features? What are the standard countertops? What is the standard flooring? And this is really important because in almost every case, the builder flooring comes with tile in the wet areas only, and then carpet everywhere else. And wet areas are going to be your kitchen, your bathroom, your entryway, and your laundry room. So those areas are going to have tile, but everything else is carpet. But how many model homes have you ever walked into where you didn't walk into some gorgeous like LVP or extended tile or some glorious flooring? That's what the model home is going to show you, but that's not the standard of that $490,000 base price Magnolia. So these are the things that you need to know going in. So we've gone to the Design Center. We're picking and choosing. You've got your little Pinterest board. Bring that with you so that you can show your sales associate and let your sales associate know if you have to stay within a budget. Again, I'm not even kidding you. The first house when my husband and I moved our family to Florida, the very first one, I flew by myself to go to the Design Center. We have 4 kids. They were little. It was too much going on. So he came out and he looked at the house, found the house. I came out, looked at the house. Yes, that's the house. And then I flew back to the Design Center by myself. We had a very, very tight budget because my business, I was a dance teacher. I wasn't bringing my dance studio with me to Florida. So I didn't have an income. I wasn't going to be getting a job, or at least not right away. Got into real estate. How'd that happen? But when we first moved, the budget was incredibly tight. And thankfully, we had been given a basic cost sheet from the builder. So even though we didn't know what the choices were at a level 2 or a level 3, we knew what the cost was. So we decided, okay, well, we don't know what those look like, but it's cabinets. We need to make sure we upgrade the cabinets because those are used all the time. It's the most often used thing in your home, so make sure you get a good cabinet. So we upgraded that to a level whatever. And then we did our counters, and we're like, well, it comes with granite, so we're happy with whatever granite they have. So we just did like a builder basic. But we did want to extend the tile, but we extended the builder basic tile. And I'm not even kidding you. When I left the design center, I was $20, like a $20 bill over my budget. I was so proud of myself. And it didn't go according to plan. For instance, I just got the standard included appliances because when I asked what the difference was, there was no aesthetic difference on the front of it. And being the silly girl that I am, I'm like, well, if it doesn't look prettier, I'm just going to go with the basic one because it has a warranty with it through the manufacturer. So it's usually those appliances will last you long enough, right? So the money that I saved, because I had budgeted to upgrade the appliances, so the money that I saved meant I upgraded my front door. So that's how I played the girl game, right? I did the girl shopping game, but I left there only $20 over my budget. Now, that was the first time. Other times, way over my budget, ridiculously so. We're going to talk about those numbers here shortly. But anyway, the design center is a place where your budget can be blown up. True story. When Eric and I were at the design center for the home that you all remember that we sold after Eric passed away in Winter Garden, our dream home, big pool, all that jazz. When we went to the design center, we thankfully had a very healthy budget. This was my dream home, guys. I didn't really care what the numbers were. I just wanted what I wanted because I'd worked so hard and I'd done so much for so long. I was like, this is the house. It's going to be our forever house. And our grandkids are going to be here. And I just want everything the way I wanted. I'm so excited. It's a beautiful lot. The floor plan's what I always wanted. And we just went crazy at the design center. So by the way, I still got in the car and cried afterwards. I'm not even kidding. And I still got irritated that you were charging me literally $60 for a toilet paper holder as what the builder was charging. That's what I'm saying. Expect to have some things thrown at you. But I remember the people beside us. You have your little cubicle area, a little area where you could display all your choices and your designers helping you, match and mix some things up and use this. And by the way, use their knowledge of their design options. You could go, I really like this flooring, but it is a level 5. I cannot afford that. That person, they know what their inventory in there is, and they can say, well, look, here's a level 2. It's almost identical. It's a little bit thinner, but it's still a really good quality, but it's going to give you the look you want for substantially less. Let them help you piece together and design your home. Anyway, but the people beside us were picking and choosing, and all of a sudden they're crying. They're all crying. And I hear their design consultant behind us say, well, yes, these cost money. Like this costs extra. Like, I think they literally thought they could go in and pick anything and it was included. And they had not been very well versed on how the process works. And so then all of a sudden, the designer had to go show them all of the basic builder included standard features. And they were just crying because they'd spent all this time putting together a beautiful home. And then when they were told what it was going to cost extra, they were so completely confused. They were literally crying. So it is so important for you to understand that part of the budget and understanding that that's going to be a big part of it. Let them know your budget, right? We talked about focusing on your cabinets, your counters, and your flooring. Those are the 3 biggest visual elements of your home. One of the other things to note, and I know we're way over, so I'm glad you guys are still with me here. I promise it's going to be good because I'm going to show you numbers here in a minute. Make sure that some builders do electrical and low voltage. Well, low voltage is usually design anyway. But some builders, when you design when you pick your structural options, some builders need to know if you're going to add additional LED lights. Like, so in my office, for instance, this office is smaller than my old one. So I have a center fixture and I have 2 additional LEDs. But in my primary bedroom, in my dining room, in my game room, all of those rooms, I added 4 additional LEDs. So not only do you have a center fixture in the room, but there's 4 additional lights on a dimmer. That's what I like. I like light. I can't see very well. I'm getting old. So I like it to be bright. but you have to add those and they're not free. So you have to prepare for things like that. Ask your builder or ask your agent, hey, is this done at the time of contract or do I do this at design? Honestly, I see it both ways. Don't ask me why, but I see it both ways. So you don't want to eliminate the opportunity to have that extra. You also are going to have at the design center a low voltage appointment. They're going to have someone come in to go over the low voltage. And what I mean by that is your not just your electrical outlets, but things like, do you want the chase, the conduit in the wall for your TV? Do you need to mount an outlet up higher? Do you need your cable outlets here? Do you need your Cat 6 in a workspace? Do you need additional outlets for whatever your home office situation is? I've had clients do it all sorts of different ways. I had clients that both husband and wife worked from home in the same office, and they had two separate Cat 6 whole extra outlets and the whole setup. They also mounted a TV up high because they kept the TV on while they were working. So those are the types of things. And that also includes security, by the way, floodlights on the exterior. So make sure that you're thinking, oh, there's these things I wasn't expecting to have to be asked about. I don't know what I want. I didn't think about that. How much does that cost? And now you're starting to get stressed out. So that's why we're here. Know that. Ask your builder when you are walking through the model home with your agent and or with the builder representative. Ask them those questions. In this room, what is standard? And they may say, well, that center lighting fixture. Everything else is an upgrade. Or they may say, because I've actually seen builders where they will show you multiple different things, like one bathroom, one powder bath might be a base cabinet and a laminate countertop, because that's what's standard with a standard tile, and they want to show you what it looks like. So make sure you ask those questions, because you could be paying $250 or $400 for one room to have extra lighting, and you want to have that in 4 or 5 different bedrooms. Well, that's not money that you can just necessarily pull out from your sofa cushion. So make sure that you're aware of that. Make note of those types of things. And remember, standard and equals included, but most everybody is going to be upgrading things. All right. Things that you might not be aware of: under cabinet lighting, above cabinet lighting, crown molding. Not just crown molding in your rooms, although that is an option. Some builders do it. There's that piece of hair again. But crown molding on the top of your cabinets. You can upgrade that you might not be aware of. Capping the end of your cabinets. Sometimes your kitchen island can have just drywall behind it, or sometimes they can finish it with cabinet. These are things you're not aware of. All of a sudden you're like, well, yeah, of course I want it to look pretty, but I wasn't planning on spending another $800 for that. Or you go to your kitchen and you're like, oh, I really want drawers. I need drawers. Drawers are much more conducive. Or I want the pull-out tray, or I want whatever it is. Those are not things that you were prepared for. So it's important for you to know those things going in and ask those questions, because some builders may say, we include the 3-bank, the big deep drawers underneath of the cooktop. Right? Ask those questions. Find out what is included so that you're prepared. And now, one other thing, because this is important. We're getting ready to go to my numbers here in a minute. This is not an exact number. This is not an exact number. Full disclosure, I am not a lender, but I did have a lender talk to my client. We were talking about one of my listings recently, and we were chatting. And if this might help you, and it used to be years ago, we used to do a very average of for every $10,000 you spend above or below your budget is going to relate to about $50 a month in your mortgage payment. I think now it's a little bit closer to 60, but use that as a mental pricing, budgeting way to think of things, right? So you're like, okay, well, can I afford an additional $50 a month or $60 a month? If so, that gives me a little bit more at the design center that I can use. And by the way, the opposite of that is true. If we find you a home and you go under your budget, that's what you're saving, right? So it's important to know that. And again, that is a great question for your lender based on your credit score, your loan structure, your price point, and your incentives. So that's just a very average. Just like I said, expect about 5% from a builder to be required at the time of contract as your earnest money deposit, which, by the way, is a prepaid. A lot of people think that's extra. No. That goes to the price of your home. It's just being held in escrow for you. But yeah, that's important. It's important to know. Ask your lender about that. so that they can give you a little bit of a realistic idea. Okay, now we are going to go to the numbers. So let's go over here. So this is the real deal. Okay, this is true story. 2 homes that I purchased. Okay, these are mine. I didn't pull these from clients. These were 2 homes that I purchased. One Virginia, one Florida, and different times. But I did. I go back and I pulled as many numbers as I could. Some of them was really hard. I was like, I can't even remember. But so this is what's important to know. The base price was $642,950. Another home was $652,990. $10,000 different, essentially, even though home number 2 had about 1,500 more square feet. It was a much bigger home. So you'll see that at the design center as we go down further. The lot premium, again, real numbers. The lot premium for home number 1 was $30,000. The home site for home number 2 was $60,000. Crazy, right? You might be thinking, that blew my budget right there. 30 grand for a lot. That's kind of normal, guys. If you give a lot premium, I would say in where we are at the moment, I would tell everyone to expect, or at least mentally prepare for $25,000 for a lot premium. It hurts my heart to say that, but I think if you in your mind go, okay, that Magnolia base price, $490,000, let's add 25 to it just for the lot premium. Now you start adding all your structurals. You start your exterior elevation. This is why you need to do the math. So home 1, $30,000 for the lot premium. The structural options, interesting. And I say interesting because I know both of these houses. I'm not going to go into too much detail because some of it's kind of private. But home number 1, almost $61,000 in structural options. Okay, so that could have been for, extended lanais or guest suite, ensuite added in, things like that. If you look at home number 2, which is actually the bigger home, the structural options were only $52,413. I say only, but do you see how we've already gone another 50 grand? So between structural options and lot premiums that I'm telling you to sort of kind of expect, we're already at about $75,000 above that base price, just on plain hypothetical numbers. Now you go to the design center. At the design center for home number 1, I spent $62,805. That's not out of the realm of reality, guys. That's the smaller home. And I didn't go super crazy. Number 2 home, I went a little crazy. I'm not going to lie. I went a little crazy, but I will also remind you that home was over 1,500 square feet bigger than home number 1. And I did LVP flooring everywhere, including the stairs, all upstairs with the exception of the media room and the bedrooms. Everything was a really good high-end quality, and the flooring alone was a ridiculous amount of that budget. So this is important. So this is what I want you to know. If you look at, oh, hey, our budget is $650,000. That's great. Look, both of these homes are kind of right in our little pocket. No, they're not. Look where they were at the end. And I say that to share with you so that you can have that correct expectation. Can you do it for less? Of course you can. I'm not saying that's what you have to spend. I'm just saying that's a real life example. One where I was a little bit more budget conscious because I had to be. The other one where I got to be a little bit more flexible because it could be. And that's important for you to know and see how that works. All right, so now let's go to the build timeline. We're getting closer to the end, guys. I promise we're getting really close. All right, so this is really kind of how the timeline works. We're going to go from top to bottom and then other column, top to bottom. I did this both ways. I was like, I don't know how to read this. So I decided I would stay with the top to bottom. So the first thing is know your cast of characters. You've contracted on your home. You've paid your deposit. You've gone to the design center. Okay. Yeah. And this is where we are. So the first thing is know your cast of characters. So you still have your buyer agent because he or she is going to be with you the entire process. They may not be with you at every meeting. They may not be at every phone call, but they're there aware. They're checking in with the builder. They're copied in on the emails and they know what's going on, but they don't have to be present with you at every single juncture, although they can be. And I have been many times, but it's important to know. Cast of characters, your buyer agent. You remember that site agent that we love so much? Remember, she or he represents the builder. But now we have not only the builder corporation, but now you have been assigned your builder, your person. Your person is going to be the one that calls you and schedules a pre-construction meeting. But that person is going to be building your house for you. But there is also a construction manager that is a little bit above them. So there's a whole tier of people here now. And remember, the builder, he or she is not, and I say she because there are some fantastic female builders out there. Women go. Usually a little bit more detailed. I'm not going to lie. But what's really important to know is that your builder is not swinging a hammer. Your builder is not actually building your home. Your builder is overseeing the build of your home, but all the trades that have been contracted to build your home. Your builder is just overseeing the process. All right, so know your cast of characters. Once you have contracted, as soon as you contract, it goes into permitting. And this is going to sit with the county for, I don't know, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks, it could be 4 months. And that's where your individual area that you are building is going to change, because there are some places in Horizon West where it's still like 3 months for permitting. Some places in Claremont, it's 2 months. Some places it's 6 weeks. So it really just depends on where you are, what part of the country. In Virginia, it was about 2 months in permitting. And that really does vary, again, depending on where you are across the country, how much new construction is happening, how backed up the county is, all that stuff. So we're waiting, but it's in the permitting department. Once that goes through permitting, they get their permits approved. It goes back to the builder. Now they're going to schedule your pre-construction meeting. So your pre-construction meeting can usually, and it is usually done virtually. You don't have a house yet, so you're not meeting at your house. So, and a lot of people don't live where they're building, especially if you're moving to a place like Florida or even in Central Virginia. You might be coming here for other work-related things, and you're not in town yet. Those can just be done virtually. A Zoom call is usually how those go. And really, I say the pre-construction meeting is a introduction and confirmation meeting. It's the opportunity for the builder to say, hi, I'm Tom. I'm going to be your builder. I see I'm building you a Magnolia floor plan with elevation 1 on a home site 10. These are the structural options that you chose. And really, that's all it is. It's just confirmation. Okay, I've got your paperwork. All your paperwork that you signed and you've initialed, I've got a copy of that. I've got the permits. I've got the blueprints. We're ready to break ground. And so before we do that, we just want to meet you and say, hi, this is what I'm building. Are we good? This is what you think I'm building? Usually everything goes perfectly. I did have a situation one time where I had a builder. We did the pre-construction meeting, and unfortunately they were building a shingle roof, and I noted that it was supposed to be a tile roof. And so I said, is this a tile roof? Because the elevation that we chose had a tile roof. So discrepancies happen, and that's really a good time to catch it. But in most cases, it's going to be just fine. But you want to make sure you're following along with all of your paperwork, your options list that you chose, to make sure that you're following along and everything looks good. After the pre-construction meeting, they're going to break ground, and then they're going to do foundation, and they're going to start to go vertical. So this process, by the way, new construction, again, depending on where you are, new construction is inspected by the county. I think there is a thought process that the builder, so like, let's just say it's D.R. Horton. I used them earlier, so let's say D.R. Horton. I think people think, well, the D.R. Horton, like, they inspect their own homes. Well, they do. They check to make sure that everything is good, but it's the county building inspectors that do the inspection on the properties and fail them or require they remedy this or pass them. So it's the county that's actually following up on their work. So that's kind of important to know. And new construction homes are inspected. I think over about 30 different times throughout the build process. And FYI, a lot of that is happening in the very beginning stages. So as you see that we talk about waiting and waiting and waiting, and if you feel like, why is this taking so long? Sometimes it's because they're waiting for the inspector to get out there. Maybe the inspector did come and maybe it failed inspection. Guys, that's okay. Almost every home is going to fail an inspection here or there. And what that means is that the county is doing their job, making sure that they're catching things. I still, to this day, want to give everyone unconditional positive regard. And I really don't think that there's anybody out there that intentionally is going to do a poor job of building your home or is going to miss something that's important. I don't believe that. I mean, I guess it could be true, but I don't want to believe that. So that's why you have that second level of oversight. The builder builds, the builder company corporation comes and checks, but it's the county that's going to come and sign off on it. So if you've ever been in a home, they take red or orange spray paint and they're like, framing warped, or move this back, or this not plumb, and they make all of those little notations in there, and they will do that. Now there are some places, check with your realtor in your area. Sometimes you can track those inspections. I don't really advise that you do, because sometimes you just need to let the builder do their job. They're working hard behind the scenes to build you your beautiful home. Let them do it. You hounding them or double checking the inspections all the time can be really, really stressful. Don't give yourself that unnecessary stress. All right, so now we're vertical. Now we are getting ready for our pre-drywall walkthrough. Some builders call it framing. At that point, your electrical is done, your HVAC, venting is done, your plumbing is done. If you have the in-the-wall pesticide treatment, that's done. Everything that needs to be done in the walls has now been done. And before they put that drywall up, they're going to provide you a framing walkthrough. This walkthrough is really important because it gives you the opportunity to double check that everything is where you intended it to be. Now, you don't get to change where the outlets are because that just kind of goes by code, X amount of feet around. But if you added extra outlets, maybe you added an outlet 60 inches above the ground for the TV mount. Maybe you added extra LED lights. Maybe you have a couple of Cat 6 in your office. Pendant lights over your kitchen island. The lights aren't going to be there, but the little boxes are. I call them little junction boxes. I don't think that's the proper term, but the little boxes, you can see that they're there. So that framing walkthrough is important because if there is a problem, or if they have forgotten an outlet, or if it was in the wrong spot on the wrong wall. I've had that happen before where I've had the builder put it on the wrong wall according to the plans. It was an accident, but it's so much easier to fix that mistake at that pre-drywall or that framing walkthrough. Keep in mind, this is not an opportunity for you to change your mind about things. This is not a time for you to ask your builder, hey, can you do me a favor and add this, that, or the other? I mean, you can ask, but they're probably going to say no because they can't. Things have to match with what the permits say. So make sure you understand the point of that. That walkthrough is probably anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. The builder's just going to walk you room by room. Over here's your light switch. You're going to have 3 switches here, one for the carriage lights, one for your front porch, and one for this entryway. You can see over here, these are your outlets. You've got 4 outlets, blah, 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 blah. They're going to go through every room. LEDs, they're going to show you, there's your center fixture. You can see the boxes for the LEDs that are coming. Plumbing, you can see that you've pre-plumbed for a laundry sink. Things like that. They're going to go through that with you and make sure that everything looks good. Then you're going to wait some more. But I will tell you, this is the fun waiting, because as you're waiting now, the fun stuff, the pretty stuff, all the stuff that you got such a headache over at the design center is now going to start to present itself. And so now those things are going to start. Your house is really going to start to look like a home. It's going to be pretty. Your cabinets go in, your counters go in, the flooring and the trim work and the doors and all of that. And it gets really exciting, but we're still waiting. But remember, the majority of the inspections happened before drywall. They happened before that. There will be more inspections later, but the majority of that happens before. That's why you will see an escalation in the build process once the framing walkthrough is done, because at that point they've already passed all of those inspections and they're ready to close up those walls and start adding the finishes. At this time, behind the scenes, your job as the buyer is to make sure you're in constant communication with your lender and make sure that you are providing them all of the documentation that they need. You cannot lock in your interest rate in most cases until 30 days prior to closing. We don't know what your closing date is yet, but soon, you're going to be told what that closing date is. If you're thinking about a timeline, I would say from contract, sorry, speaking of a lender, it's a lender calling me right now. One of the things that you can I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyway, your timeline. So from contract to close is going to be dependent on your area. I would say always expect 6 months, but it's probably going to be closer to 10 or 11 pretty much everywhere, because you've got probably a couple of months in permitting. Once they break ground, it's probably going to take 2 to 3 months to get you to the pre-drywall or the framing walkthrough. Once that happens, they have to do all the finishes. That's probably going to be another 2 to 3 months. So again, just kind of, if you think to yourself 9, 10, 11 months is probably a good ballpark, but check with your builder at that pre-drywall or at the, at the pre-drywall walkthrough is another good time, because they do have an idea of what things are looking like at that point, but they won't be able to guarantee anything, guys. Okay. Mother Nature has a way, especially in Florida, of halting progress sometimes. If there's a hurricane coming, everything stops with construction. All hands on deck to secure those construction sites. So that happens, and that's going to happen anywhere, but obviously Florida has more of those that are popping up, and those late thunderstorms sometimes, means that people have to stop work early. So things can take a little longer than we expect. But as your lender is reaching out to you, continue to provide them with documents that you need. Inspection. We're going to talk about inspections here in a minute. New homeowner walkthrough. So when I say inspection, we're going to talk about third-party inspections, but we're also going to talk about the county giving a final inspection. The county will come back, do a final inspection on the property, and issue a CO. The CO is the certificate of occupancy. That CO means that the county's like, the home is built, it is safe to live in, you may sell it. You cannot close without that CO, so it is really, really important. So one of the things that I always ask when we do our new homeowner orientation, new homeowner presentation, new homeowner celebration, whatever your builder calls it, that typically happens 1 week prior to closing. I will usually ask, do you already have the CO? Because that means they've already passed the final. That's great news for us. We want to make sure that there's no last minute holdup. But that walkthrough is going to be, some people call it a blue tape walkthrough. And ultimately that means you're going to walk through with your builder for a while. It's probably going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours that you walk through, depending on the size of your home, of course, room to room, and you're going to look at everything. They're also going to show you how your home works. This can be one of the most difficult days. Do not bring your children. Do not bring mom and dad and sister and brother. This is where you need to focus, and you need to make sure that you're giving the builder the attention, and you're asking questions, and that you're using your eyes and you're taking notes. If I'm with my clients during that new homeowner orientation, I am typically taking notes, because I want my client to be looking at everything, and I'm looking in the spots where people don't always think to look. I'm looking up around the vents in the ceiling or the light fixtures to make sure there's no gaps there. I'm going in the bathrooms underneath every sink. I'm rubbing my hand on the base of the cabinet to make sure there wasn't a previous leak at some point during installation that's now warped the base of the cabinet. I'm looking at corners. I'm looking to see if settling has already cracked that paint. Things like that. So that's what this homeowner walkthrough is for. It's so that you can see, not only is there anything that you're not happy with, like maybe the paint is really, really bad and you could just see the streaks. Maybe there's nail pops already. Maybe there's drywall dings, they call them, like a little dent in the drywall. That's where we're going to note things like that. But it's also, and most importantly, it's the opportunity for the builder to show you how your home works. They're going to talk about the HVAC system and what your required homeowner maintenance is. And I said required because it's required. We're going to talk about warranty here in a minute, and then we're going to be done for the day. But if you do not abide by what the homeowner responsibility is for your due diligence, your required homeowner maintenance, it can really bite you in the booty a little bit later on. But they're going to talk about HVAC maintenance. They're going to talk about the irrigation system if you have one. They're going to talk about just your electrical panel, the water heaters, like whatever it is. They're going to go over the mechanical elements of your home. We already know what the pretties look like, and we want to make sure that those look good too. Double check countertops. I take my fingers and I rub the countertop all around it to make sure there's no chips, because sometimes there are. And those are things that we want to make sure that we note on that day so that there's no problem with the builder getting that fixed. So, you want to note all of those things at that time. But they're also going to show you about the mechanical elements of the home, making sure that you know how that works too. Because if you have a problem and you need to know how to shut off your water, you better have been paying attention to that new homeowner orientation. If you're like, hey, my heat cut out all of a sudden and my thermostat is totally black. Well, have you cleaned the condensation line on the exterior of the home? Have you washed it or flushed it? Or is it clogged up? If so, that's probably why the built-in safety mechanism popped up and now it shut your system off as a protection to let you know that your line is clogged. So these are the things that you need to be aware of and pay attention to at this walkthrough. So that's important. And that happens 1 week prior to closing. And the reason is all of the things that we note: paint touch-ups, drywall touch-ups. Can you recaulk that bathroom sink? There's a chip over here in that globe on the fixture in the dining room, blah, blah, blah. They have the opportunity to fix that. And then that way, right before closing, we're so close to being done, guys. Oh, so exciting. You get ready to close on your new home. So now your closing day or the day before closing, you're going to go back to the builder. You're going to have a final walkthrough. And at that point, it should be final. And pet peeve, we do our final walkthrough. My clients, myself, and our builder walk out of the house and lock it. There better not be anybody else in it because we're signing off that the house looks good. But I've actually had a client where that happened. Painters came back in and then spilled paint. And she didn't know. They left a window open and it rained. Didn't know until we came back from closing. And it's because people had come back in the house. Trades had come back in the house after the final walkthrough. Cannot happen. Biggest frustration, biggest builder pet peeve. If the home is not ready for my clients to close, then do not schedule closing. It drives me absolutely bonkers, but you need to make sure you're aware of that. Okay, so now you're going to go to closing. And now you already know how that works, right? You're going to be given all sorts of documents and paperwork. Some things you are able to sign in advance of closing. Some of these disclosures now they're allowing you to sign electronically, but the majority of the paperwork, specifically the loan paperwork, has to have what they call a wet signature with a blue pen. It cannot be black. It must be blue. And that's it. You're going to sign. You're going to, hopefully you've wired your funds. Again, there's a whole nother lending thing that's happening behind the scenes. You will have wired your final cash to close on that. The lender, everything will be balanced and you'll be heading out to closing. But now here is the thing that I want to talk about because this is the last thing. And it is called warranty. And this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves in the world. It is the part where, builders have these surveys, right? They have surveys they want you to fill out right after you've closed on your home. How did we do? How great did we do? Where can we improve? Well, ultimately, you'll notice your builder always says, hey, we have a survey and, we really strive to get all 5s or all 10s or whatever their rating system is. If I didn't do that for you, let me know what it is so I can work hard to remedy that. Now, I will tell you, the surveys are important. A lot of those builders, that's how they get advancements. That's how they get bonuses. That's how they get, increase in pay or promotions. So it is important, but I find it a little unnerving to send me a survey when I just closed on the home. I don't know how you're going to pay attention to me after I've closed on the home. So sometimes they'll send you another survey later. And I've been told by quite a few builders that you will notice that the surveys that come in at closing, everyone's typically happy. But then the one that they do 6 months or 12 months down the road, they're going down. Those scores are going down. And they're going down because now the home has problems. If you learn nothing from me today, this is one of the reasons that I think the builders like working with me is because I do try to give you a realistic expectation while always representing you, making sure that your interests are protected, but I'm also giving you the correct information, or at least trying to, as to what the process is like and to what that expectation is with new construction. But this is what I tell every single one of my clients, because everyone is inevitably going to ask me, who's your favorite builder? And I always tell you that, first of all, every builder has to go by the same codes when it comes to the building inspectors. So whether you're a lower end builder that doesn't have a higher reputation, or whether you're a high up there, very well recognized name, maybe you used higher building materials, maybe you're a little more entry level, whatever. Those builders have to go by the same building codes from the county. So if your home has that CO, that certificate of occupancy, then you know that your home has been built and it has satisfied the builder's requirements. Now, some builders may exceed them, but as long as they've been met, you're going to get that CO. So what I tell my clients when they talk about who's my favorite builder, I always tell them this: no matter how technologically advanced the world is, and boy is it, it is still humans that build your homes. It is still imperfect humans that are building the homes, that are swinging those hammers and nails and sawing and cutting and gluing and just creating your home. And so my measure of a builder is not, is not is not, it's basically how do you recover when something goes wrong? Because something always does. And I have had a lot of experience with really great response and a lot of experience with really bad response. So as we talk the last couple of stories, because this all involves warranty. So the first thing is when we go back to inspections, if you are so inclined, if you have the funds with which to hire a third-party inspector during your build process, I do encourage it. You don't have to. If you're really tight on a budget, then I would suggest you do what I'm getting ready to tell you now. But if you have the funds with which to hire a third-party inspector, you have the right as the consumer, as the homeowner, to have that third party do an inspection on your new construction home. However, you do have the responsibility of communicating that with your builder and making sure that you follow all of the protocol and provide them with all of the documents that they're going to require to make sure that your inspector is licensed and bonded and insured. Because ultimately, they're going to be stepping in and doing things on a property, and they are not working under the umbrella of the builder. So they need to make sure that they are certified, that they know what they're doing. And it also has to be coordinated. Don't have your inspector just show up at the job site when the builder wasn't expecting them to. I've had people go, well, I'm out here, but they haven't poured the foundation yet. Well, who told you to go out there? You can't go out there until the actual builder on site says, we're ready for the inspection. You want to come to a framing inspection? Okay, well, guess what? My plumber guy, he's got to come back. There was a problem the other day, so he's coming back. He's finishing it up. So don't come out yet, but you can have your inspector come out anytime after Friday. Like, communicate that with your builder so that you guys can work as a team to go through those things. But here's the thing. If you're like most people, you don't have a lot of extra money. You just went to the design center. Did you not go with me through that journey? If you are on a limited budget, here's my suggestion. Remember, if your home gets the certificate of occupancy, that means it has passed the codes by the county. Builders typically provide you with a 1-2-10. Sometimes it's a 1-2-5-10. There's all different warranties out there. But again, the norm, the most common one is a 1-2-10. 1 year, the builder takes care of almost everything. I mean, not if you get mad and you punch a hand through the wall, or, you drop something and you shatter the tile, not those things, but they will cover the majority of things because your home is still learning how to breathe. It's in its infant stages. It's settling. So there's going to be stucco cracks if you're in Florida. There's going to be, the walls settling cracks. Sometimes your backsplash or your the caulk around your bathroom sinks or your kitchen, it starts to crack. It's not a deficiency necessarily, not always, but it's not a deficiency of the builder. It's a result and a reaction of the climate that you're in and that you just built on Mother Earth. And so things are going to settle as the home is lived and breathed in. The mechanical elements are going to be running. So those things are going to be happening now. You're flushing toilets, you're doing laundry, you're doing dishes, you're cooking, you're using the stove, you're using the refrigerator, the AC is on, you turn it off, the fireplace, if you have a fireplace, if you're in Virginia, whatever, that's on. Your home is starting to work for you. Things are going to present themselves later on that are probably not going to present themselves the day before closing, because that's still just a new, fresh home that hasn't really been lived in yet, right? So if you have limited funds, once you have lived in your home around 10 or 11 months before your 1 year warranty is up with your builder, make sure that you hire an outside third-party inspector at that time to come and do an inspection on the property and then file those findings that are warrantable with the builder's warranty, because they're going to check out your roof. You're probably not going to go up on your roof. Even if you did, you might not know what to look for, but they're going to double check and make sure that you don't have any cracked tiles or blistered shingles or open spots. They're going to be able to check to make sure that your strapping for your duct in your attic space has not fallen. I've had that happen before. Or that you're not missing some insulation that wasn't caught before. Or again, any number of things that can be happening as your home starts to settle. Let your third-party inspector do that for you closer to your 1 year, and then file that with the builder. Keep a list of all the things that are happening in your home as you have lived in it. Now, a couple of quick examples, and then we're going to skedaddle. Warranty woes. These are literally real life examples from my clients. Okay, and I want you to tell me whether or not you think this should be covered. Number one, my client purchased a brand new construction townhome. The primary bedroom and the primary bathroom, of course, was upstairs. It was a very basic, as with most builders, townhomes kind of have packages, so it's very bland interior decor. And he didn't really get to pick and choose what he wanted. So one of the first things he did when he moved in is he remodeled that bathroom. When he remodeled that bathroom and added new tile and listello and made it look really, really nice, guess what? He went to work one day and then came home to a house that had flooded. The walls were soaking wet, not just from upstairs, but all the way down to the first floor. So now his home is flooded, and now there is saturated walls and carpets and flooring and mold. All of that is happening very quickly. So he goes to the builder. Is that covered by the builder? What do you guys think? No. That's not covered by the builder. Do you know why it's not covered by the builder? Because you hired another company to come in and mess with the plumbing and mess with the work that was done by the builder. The builder will get out of anything warrantable that they can, but in this case, that was valid. And I agree. That was my client's oopsie. Well, actually, it wasn't his oopsie. It was the company that he hired to do the work's oopsie. And that's a true story. And you can understand why. They had a different plumber come in, different tradespeople came in, and they messed with the work that the builder did. So why would the builder warranty somebody else's work? They're not. So true story. Another one, I had a client who their AC unit, remember I mentioned the little safety valve? It's kind of like a stopper. If water condensation gets backed up in the line, instead of it flooding, it will pop the bopper, the little bobber, whatever you call it. I call it a bobber, the little stopper thing, and it'll shut off the system to avoid flooding. Well, that malfunctioned. The stopper malfunctioned on their new construction HVAC unit. It flooded their house. One-story house, flooded the house. Floors, carpet, the base of the cabinets, everything was flooded. They couldn't stop it. It was just continuing to go. So they got the builder out there. The warranty department came out. And do you think that was covered by the builder? I'm going to give you guys a second because I'm really interested to see what you think on this one. Do you think this was covered by the builder? The fact that the HVAC unit, the little safety mechanism, I can say it, whoop, whoop. The safety mechanism, the little stopper malfunctioned. Was that covered by the builder? What do you guys think? By the way, I love that you guys are still hanging out with me today. I love you. Gosh, I love you guys so much. Yes, Jane, you are correct, my friend. Yes, that was covered by the builder. Not only was it covered, but they had to give them all new flooring. They had to give them, everything. They had to get everything that was damaged in that. They had to not only fix the unit, but they had to remedy all of the problem. And you know what? It was so frustrating because that could not have happened to like a nicer couple. And, they had mobility issues and it just broke my heart. But I was very proud of how the builder in that scenario recovered, because it should have been. Now, they probably could have found a reason to not, but they did. They covered it. They fixed it. They remedied it. All right. Here is another one. Our last one for today. Actually, no, I lied. There's two more. This is true story. This one is kind of an ongoing one. I have a client, and they built this big, gorgeous new construction home, and they smelled something in their bathroom. It was in their primary bathroom, and they kept smelling like this musty, kind of a mildewy smell. And they couldn't find it. And it just was bothering them. Of course it's bothering them. They're like, I can't figure out what it is. It's not the water. They're like smelling the water. It's not the toilet. It's like literally there's this smell in their bathroom and they can't figure out where it's coming from. So they call the builder. The builder comes out. They're like, well, we did moisture readings. We don't see anything. They're like, okay. So the builder leaves because the warranty department's like, we don't see anything. So then they get somebody else to come out and they look and they see that there's a problem. And so they call the builder back and they're like, hey, we called somebody else out and they said that there's a little bit of a problem. We really need you guys to come back out and take a deeper look. And the builder warranty department says, well, the only way we can really do that is if we remove that section of cabinets to see what's going on behind the wall. Yes. Yeah, that's what you should do. You should do that to figure out what's going on behind the wall. So what do you think in this case the builder did? I'm very, very interested in this one. What do you think the warranty department did on this one? They came out, they looked, everything was dry, so it didn't indicate that there was any wetness behind the walls. My clients weren't satisfied, so independently they had somebody else come out and take a look who indicated that there probably was a problem deeper in the wall. Called the builder back out with the warranty again. And what do you think they said? They said the only way we could do that is to remove the cabinets to figure that out. What do you think the builder did? Vicki, you're like, I like this game. Oh my God. What do you guys think? Jane's always the first one to pop in. Jane said no. Let's see, anybody else? So this is what the builder said on this one. Literally, this is what the builder said. We don't warranty smells. That's what the builder said. Instead of saying, let's find the root of this problem, because clearly there is an odor in this bathroom and it's not coming. It's a new home. It's not a sulfur smell from, if you've ever smelled sulfur in your plumbing, it's not that. So it's not a plumbing thing. It's, there's nothing visible. There's no visible leaks. There's no moisture that they could tell by the typical moisture reading. But so the builder passed on it the first time. Clients weren't satisfied, got an independent company to come out. What did they say? Hey, we think there could be something, but I think it's deeper in the wall that's not really visible. They call the warranty people back out. Warranties says the only way we can do that is to remove all of these cabinets and dig into the wall, and that's going to be a much bigger deal. And the builder said, I think the builder should have done it. They just closed on that daggone house. Just closed on it. It's been like a couple weeks. And literally the builder said, we don't warranty smells. Okay, last one, warranty. This one is a client in Virginia. So surfaces in Virginia, soil is different in Virginia, climate is different in Virginia. So in Virginia, like in Florida, we have a lot of pavered walkways and pavered driveways and pavered lanais. But they do textured concrete in Virginia. And so in Virginia, I had a client, their walkway up to their house and their back patio space, that textured poured concrete, 3 months after moving in, cracking and more importantly, flaking, like chipping off and like flaking all away. Like you could take your hand and brush the concrete away. And the builder, the on-site builder agreed they need to re-pour the concrete. There's probably something wrong. It probably was mixed in, the ratio was wrong or something happened. But knowing that it became a bigger problem and it wasn't just my client's house, but there were other people in the community and other communities of this builder in the area that had the same problem, their scripted response was that it was because of the uncharacteristic cold weather and snow that they had this year, which doesn't make any sense, because if that was the case, every home would have had the same thing because it was new construction. Multiple homes closed within those same weeks or 2 weeks. So what do you think there? Yeah, the builder's like, no, it's because it was cold, or because somebody used rock salt, which they didn't use. But At any rate, so point is, my sweet friends, that and you know what, I didn't even get to this one. I did talk about, let's go to the warranty one. This one is, I did talk about the 1-2-10. I talked about inspections. I talked about the best tip within the 1 year. Oh, sewer scope. I did want to mention this one. A sewer scope, if you haven't ever asked for one, you can ask your builder if they have done or will do a sewer scope. The reason this is important is because in new construction sites, I will tell you, debris is everywhere. Wind blows, storms happen, and that stuff can go down into the sewers. It can go down into your, like if you've ever seen your home under construction, your sinks, your tubs are generally left exposed. I don't know why. They come with freaking covers. They should put the cover on the tub while they're continuing to do construction, so all of the debris and the dust and the nails and all the crud doesn't go down into that drain. That can happen. And when that happens, it can go down into the drain. So now the plumbing is hooked up. Now they're flushing toilets. Sure, the water's going. Sure it is. But now you've lived in the home a few months and you've been using the restroom, and now you're putting your toilet paper in there. And now that piece of drywall and that other debris is now starting to cause a blockage. And things are starting to back up, back up, back up, back up. And all of a sudden, your toilet is backed up. And it's because there was debris here. And that may not present itself right away. It's going to be probably a few months before it gets to the point where you really notice it. So ask your builder if they have or if they will do a sewer scope. If not, you can get your own sewer scope done to make sure that your sewer lines are free and clear of the construction debris, which is very, very, very common. All right, so I have had so much stinking fun. Real quick, because I know you guys are tired of me, but this has been a dream come true for me to be able to do this. Did anybody have any questions other than just kind of the way we kind of answered some of them as we went? I don't think I saw any other ones, because I just kept chatting and chatting and chatting. But yes, Pam, our trades didn't put enough leveling agent on our floor. Our floors kept popping up. We made them replace all of our LVP with the proper leveling. See, stuff like that happens. I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, I don't love that happened to you, but yeah, Vicky says that happened to my new home in Texas, to the shower. Yeah. There's a lot of warranty woes. There are. And as a reminder, you need to do your best to maximize the builder's warranty. Understand that within that first year, you need to use, this is also irks me, you need to use the trades that built your home. So if you need to do something electrical, you technically should call the electrician that worked in your home. If you have a plumbing problem, technically you should call the plumbers that did the work on your home. And that information is usually on a sticker on your electrical panel showing you who did all of the work in the construction of your home. But let's face it, that's not always realistic. So my suggestion to you is to, first of all, let the builder know what you need them to do. I always have thought the nicer you are, the more you're going to get. But I've also found that sometimes they just want to not deal with the people that are jerky. So sometimes that's the way you have to be. I'm just going to say, you do you. Be and speak to them with however is true to your heart. Understand that it's humans that built your home. So I can forgive that. But it's a business that should warranty your home. And it's a business that should stand behind the product that they just built for you. If they're not happy with the quality of the work for their trades, get new trades out there to pour that cement. Get new trades to do the flooring and do the correct leveling agent. You have to understand that the builder is ultimately responsible even for those trades that are doing the day-to-day build of your home. All right, guys, I have had so much stinking fun. I can't believe I didn't cough as much as I normally do. Any other questions? Sydney, what was the smell and did the builder cover it? No, the builder did not cover it. They said they don't warranty smells. They don't cover smells, and they still don't know what it is to this day. To this day, they just figured they may have to, at their own cost, get someone to come out and remove the cabinets, remove the drywall, dig back in there. But that's definitely, they shouldn't have to do that. They should not financially have to deal with that financial and inconvenience, when truly the builder should be at least exhausting from their perspective. Look, we've done everything we can. We came out, we didn't see anything. We didn't see any moisture readings. We came back out after you told us to. We removed the cabinet. We opened up the drywall. We did more testing back there. We can't determine what it is. At least exhaust those options, but to tell someone you don't warranty smells, I mean, I get it, but that was poor. By the way, in some of those examples that I gave you, my sweet friends, the positive reaction of fixing the flooding from the HVAC unit and the not warranting the smell, same builder. Who'd have thunk? All right. All right, my guys. I have had so much fun with you today. You guys have been with me for 2 hours now. Oh, my goodness. I owe you guys, I guess, a glass of iced tea because it's past coffee time. As always, I am here to help you, and I am a realtor in Florida and in Virginia, hoping to help guide you through the process. Remember, you can call me 757-329-0055 in Virginia. You can also call me at 407-848-8042 in Florida. Both of those phones right here, my friends, always here. Thank you guys so much. As always, please stay safe, stay well. Remember, I love you guys so stinking much. I can't wait to chat with you again next week. And we'll go back to all of our other fun stuff. And I got baby pictures because it's birthdays. Love you guys. Bye.